So at the time, then I just decided I wanted something more. So I dove into the self-development space and just started learning more about myself. And then eventually Googled how to make as much money and never work again. Obviously, if you Google that, you'll find real estate, because that's where it's created the most millionaires. And a lot of people have created passive income and revenue and everything along the way. So I just 100% dove into real estate. So I just got immersed with it. I'd go work 9 to 5 at my job, but then I'd come home and I would study from 5 to 10 p.m. on listening to podcasts, getting, running analysis, running numbers, doing that kind of stuff, and just got infatuated with it. Because once you start learning about the rich dad, poor dad lifestyle, I'm sure a lot of your audience has read that book. And if they haven't, they should, because it was the one that turned for me. When you start learning about buying assets that pay for your liabilities, it really just changes how you think about life. All of a sudden, when you're like, I want to go buy a truck, or I could go buy a house that pays enough cash flow that finances that truck so that I actually don't have to personally pay for it, my asset does. So I just started going all in. At the time, I had just bought my first house and I was 25 years old. I don't have a ton of money. I put all my money down on a down payment and furnishing my house and making it look super nice, like every dumb 25-year-old did. I spent every penny I had. So when I started getting into real estate, I didn't know what I was going to do. And at that time, there was a conference going around. You know how they have the free conferences, then they go sell you up into the 3-day things, and then they sell you into their big master class. I just had one of those moments in life where it was like, I have nothing to lose. I'm 25. I've got a ticket. I've got a home. I've got everything. I'm just going to go all in. So I did the free training, and then I did the 3-day training. And the thing that changed for me was I realized that I actually didn't have to have all the money to start in real estate investing. I had none. I spent my last pennies going to this training course. And while I was there, the guy asked the room, he said, who in here wants to be a working partner, renovate homes, build construction, and manage tenants? About half the room puts their hand up. And I'm looking at him like, only half the room? Then he asked, who here wants to just invest financially and not do any of the work and just make a return and have the people that just put their hands up go do all the work for you and you do nothing? And half the room put their hands up. And that was the biggest turning point for me when I realized that there's people out there that had a ton of money that didn't want to do the work that I did on a day-to-day basis. And if I went and found the property, did the work, that they would supply all the money I needed to do the job. From there, we went and bought 3 properties in 4 months. Shortly after that, we started a monthly meetup, and we basically just started bringing all these people in together that had some sort of financial success, that didn't know enough about real estate. We started educating them, training them, and showing them what we were capable of. And they just kept funneling money into our projects and partnering with us so then we could continue to grow our portfolio. And that is how I started the Reinvestors.
Wow. I love to hear just to have that mindset on identifying the problem of others and then finding a creative win-win solution for not only yourself and then for them as well to kind of make it work. So let me get this right. When you say that you did all the work that they didn't want to do, but they had the funds, was it more so like on like a wholesaling practice, or was it more so like on a property/project management basis?
Yeah, so what we would do is we would go out and find a property that was distressed or not as nice, and we'd partner 50-50. It's called a joint venture partner with these people that had the finances. They'd qualify for the mortgage, put up the down payment, and pay for the renovations. Me and Steve, my business partner, would go in, we'd renovate it, hire the teams, obviously as contractors. I knew a lot of people in the industry, I had a lot of connections, and I knew exactly what needed to be done. We would renovate it, we'd put tenants in it, and we'd make everything happen for it. And then we'd hold that property with our partners for cash flow. And if we didn't want to hold it, we would then flip it out and sell it.
Interesting. And how, hey, is that like was that an exit strategy that you came across from like doing your research and, in those after hours? Like, how did you guys come up with that as an exit strategy?
Yeah, this is what investing into that 3-day training program got us. And then we ended up investing into the end product, which is like $20,000. And what that opened up was a whole door of these people, not just the one room we were in, but the whole network of people. So now we just went from being in a room of, I'll say, 100 people, where there was maybe 50 people that wanted to invest, to getting unlocked into a whole group of people where there was maybe 4 or 5,000 of them. And then we were able to go in and show our expertise by having that trades background and being able to, we worked a lot on self-development. Like, how do we actually, so a lot of what we studied was, how do you manage tenants? How do you put the proper tenants in? What do tenants want to see in properties? Do they want to see more high-end quality finishings, or do they just want cheap finishings? What is our rents going to be? What are our cost of purchasing? So we just got very good at running numbers and making analysis. And then we got very good at teaching people how to do real estate. So a lot of our investors, they actually didn't really understand how to invest in real estate. They just knew they wanted a piece of it. So we actually became very good teachers of how to buy real estate. And then we walked them through the process and said, at the end of the day, do you want to do this yourself, or do you just want us to take care of it? And do you want to take 50% of the profit? And they would just look at you and go, oh my God, I don't want to deal with trades. I don't want to deal with tenants. I don't want to get called in the middle of the night and deal with plumbers and leaky toilets. I just want to make a passive income at the end of the day. So that's how we really ended up going. Was the 3-day training taught us how to do it. And then we grew our expertise by listening to podcasts, taking more trainings, and continuing to teach and train other people, grew our experience as well.
Wow. Wow. It's just so much to unpack in that experience, Randy. And no, seriously, because you mentioned quite a few things that I wanted to highlight. One of the two that I want to highlight first is the community, right? Paying for, investing in that community, and now having thousands of, investors, thousands of people that you can learn from, grow with, learn with, right? And just having that community. Let's start off with that. Like, how did TAP, now being a part of this community, in what ways did it benefit as far as like helping you guys avoid making certain mistakes, helping you guys learn quicker from mistakes that you've already made? What were some of the benefits that you saw early on just from being a part of that community?
Let me take one step back and talk about making that investment into the community firsthand. When I wanted to make that investment, it was $20,000. I didn't really have it at the time. I had a line of credit that I could put it on. I called my first phone call I make. Who do I call? My parents. Hey, mom and dad, I'm going to spend $20,000 on this training program. I'm going to learn about real estate investing. They said, hey, how are you getting the money? That's crazy. That's a lot of money. What are you going to get from it? Maybe that's not the right choice. Maybe you should save, blah, blah, blah. My parents were lower income, middle class. The second phone call I made was to a friend. Hey, dude, I think I'm going to spend the money on this training course, blah, blah, blah. Same thing. You're crazy. Why would you do that? That's a bad investment. I'm starting to negatively be like, you know what? Maybe they're right. The last phone call I made was to a new mentor that I just made at the time. He owned quite a few rental properties. He was successful. He really took me under his wing. This was right after the 3-day training. So I started to talk to him about it. I got connected to him through the trades area. I wired a lot of his rental properties. So I started talking to him about what I wanted to create and what I wanted to do. When I went to go sign up for this program, I called him and I said, hey, I'm looking at doing this. My parents think it's a bad idea. My friends think it's a bad idea. What do you think as somebody that I aspire to be like? And he said, Randy, what would it take you to get that $20,000 back? How many real estate flips? How many real estate deals do you need to do to get that $20,000 back? I was like, well, if I can buy a house for 350, 400 grand at the time and turn it, and I could probably put $50,000 in my bank in one flip. And then he says, so why wouldn't you make the investment to learn how to do it, to get the capital, to get the access? Because now it becomes an infinite return on investment once you make that money back. You spent 20, but as soon as you make 50, now it's an infinite return. You have the skill set and the mindset to go do it over and over again. Even if you don't want to become a full-time real estate investor, you have the knowledge now to go through life with the ability to buy, flip, and make money in real estate. What a difference. Talking to someone who hadn't done it, my parents, but I trusted, that loved me and believed in me and encouraged me to do everything, to somebody I just met, but had what I wanted to, that encouraged me to take that step. So then I made that investment. Once I made that investment, I got surrounded by people that had spent $20,000 to be a part of this program. It eliminated so much riffraff. These were people that wanted to make money, people that are willing to do the work. So when you actually spend the amount of money, the other people in that room have to spend the same amount. Results drive results, man. Like, people that spend the money they're not going to spend 20 grand and just sit there and watch.
Right.
They want to get their money working. They want to get things going. So what that did is that just put us in a whole different category of people that changed they say you're an average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. My 5 went from being my friends that were telling me not to make this investment to spending time with people inside this community that just spent $20,000 to be a part of this community. I didn't belong there. I didn't have the finances to be there. I was just starting out. But what it did was leveled my game up to a point where I believed that I belonged there and that I could make this happen. And that making $50,000 on a deal was chump change and something that should be done on a weekend, in essence, right? People were just like all of a sudden that just became normal. You hear all these stories. It normalized it for me. So then we could go out and do it. And then all of a sudden you start thinking like, wow, I was going to make $50,000 last year working my entire life. Or if I just flip one property, I can make $50,000. And that philosophy, that mindset and everything is what sparked and created this entire entrepreneurial journey, because you just realize when you think bigger and you get around more educated people and more people that are investing in themselves, you're capable of achieving anything you really want in life.
I love it. And that story reminds me of a phrase that I keep hearing. It keeps ringing in my ear, Randy, and it was be, do, have. And like the fact that initially you felt like you didn't belong, in that community, is like you became the person that belonged in the community to where you initially made the investment. And it's like you start doing things and now you have. So like be, do, have is a mindset that I always try to encourage, on the millionaires that are listening,